All right, so let's talk about Windrose. This game came out a couple of days ago, but we already have like a dozen or so hours on it, and I wanted to give you guys my review of the game. I'm going to pretty much explain what the game is, who is it for, and if I ultimately recommend it. So this game launched in early access a couple days ago, maybe like April 15th or 14th of 2026. Now, this game is an open world survival crafting a sandbox where it's all around pirates, but it has a sort of mysticism around it, you know, like Davy Jones' locker type of deal, Blackbeard, the dead coming back to life, etc. I've seen a lot of people kind of, you know, at a quick glance, what would you say this game is very, very similar to? And I do have to agree that they say it's kind of like Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, Sea of Thieves, but also very, very, very similar, especially in the mechanics, to Valheim, which is another really good survival game. So in this game, you can play single player or you can play with a group of people. If you play on a server or you play single player, you make your character, you can go ahead and customize the way they look. I don't know if you can change it in the game. I haven't found a place to do that yet. But basically, you make a world and you can customize it a little bit. Now, it's early access, so there might be more things later on that you can specifically customize within your server worlds where you can, you know, it's kind of like a lot of those games where you can change the health of the base health of enemies, how much damage they do to you, how much ship damage you get, blah, blah, blah. In this game, there isn't any sort of like thing you can do for drop rate as far as I can tell, and this game has quite a lot of grinding on it, at least so far from what I've seen. So that's all the beginning stuff. You jump on in making your character, and basically through a cutscene and some sort of still comic like images, you find out that you are trying to transport some sort of artifact. You don't know what the hell it is, and then you get jumped by Blackbeard and his crew. You die, you get shot. However, you survived and you don't know why. You end up with some sort of tattoo scars around you, and one of the doctors who was on the ships who managed to get away starts telling you the truth. Hey, you survived for some reason. I am a doctor, but I was sent to help transport this sort of artifact that Blackbeard has now obtained. So that's the whole premise of the game, and then your whole goal is to defeat Blackbeard and find out what the hell is going on. But between that and there, tons and tons of things. Now, the game has like around 3 or so gigantic sort of biomes, which sort of act like sandbox pieces and arcs. And there's a fourth one, tease and coming, which, man, I really can't wait to play that one day when it fully comes out. I think in like a year and a half or two. The Steam page should give you a little bit more information on that, whether or not, you know, how long it's going to stay in early access. But basically, this game opens up after the story, and you're free to run around and do a lot of things, but you should really stick to the story because that's how you are able to unlock a lot of the mechanics, especially your shipbuilding. You can't do that. So you are on this island, you can't do anything. So you figure out, hey, just like a lot of survival games, you have to find food and eat. And just like Valheim, eating is not just to replenish like your hunger, but it also gives you temporary buffs. So you drink a coconut for 7 minutes, you get more HP. Or if you cook some eggs and meats, you get an attack bonus for 15 minutes. It's that sort of thing. So you can combine a couple of different foods and wait for their duration. And you can also, you know, put some sort of elixirs on. So that is the sort of survival mechanic. And then you have the other ones where you have to actually build a base. You build a bonfire, and then it's really nice. You have a lot of freedom here. And this is where I mean where the sandbox is. On that first island, you're going to start building a base. But once you start going to other unique islands where towns are, or even random ones that you just find, like, oh, there's a nice flat area, cool trees around here. I like what the mountain looks like. You can go ahead and build there as well. And you can do a lot of things. It's very, very creative. So you just build, and then you have a lot of your workstations, a lot of your decorations. And I do have to say, I love it when games actually have decorations that do something in the game rather than look nice. Just like Valheim, and I'm going to compare it to Valheim because it's very, very similar. The decoration is there to increase the comfort level of your character, meaning you have higher sort of stamina regeneration rate. And then when you leave the base, you have a sort of buff timer. Like the higher the comfort level is, the higher you retain that comfort level when you're out exploring. So you get way more stamina buff that way. So you get workstations to build resources, to build new weapons and do all that stuff. You have the decorations for buffs. That's where your NPCs are going to be living once you hire them to work on your sort of workstations and stuff like that. But you know, the first like couple of hours of the game is, you know, you learn all the mechanics of building and fighting and doing all. And speaking of fighting, let's quickly go over that. It's a third-person game. I tried playing a little bit with controller, but it kept disconnecting. But I don't know if that was just my own, you know, controller USB. I don't usually have that issue with other games, so I think it might be the game. But I played keyboard and mouse, and it basically okay. So it's a fighting game where you can different types of weapons. Two-handed weapons, one hand, pistols, 200 muskets, etc. You have HP bar, the enemy does. You can lock onto them. A left click is a basic attack. Middle mouse click, this is all like the default stuff. It's a heavy attack sort of thing. So you can also block. The enemy has a you and the enemy both have like a block gauge. So you can hold down right click and keep blocking, but if you keep taking continuous hits, you'll get stunned, and then you're going to be susceptible to just a lot of incoming damage. So you are incentivized to block when you can, but you also want to perfect block, which equals a parry. And if you do that, you can go ahead and knock out some of the enemy's guard, and you can stun them even easier, or you can just keep whacking them regularly. You also have a dodge button, which takes up stamina, and you can also do a perfect dodge, that sort of thing. So yeah, you have like a lot of basic stuff. You can jump, you can dodge, perfect parry, you know, do AoE swipes with a lot of things. This game has leveling. But unlike your traditional RPG where, oh, I'm going to kill a bunch of boars or zombies, I'm going to level up. No, this is all quest based and exploration based, which I think it's nice because it prevents you from getting too strong too quick. And you can just have fun getting all the information, you know, all the items that you need, all the equipment. It's really more strategic in my character. Get stronger as you progress the story, but if you also want to grind it out, you can get resources and upgrade your weapons, make them stronger, maybe have more defense, have way more loot on you in order to heal, that sort of thing. So I really like that sort of style where it's a mix of you grow through, it's like 50-50. You want to get a lot of equipment and like super cool rare ones with, you know, weapon sets with special abilities. You can have them, you can ascend them to where they get stronger with new abilities, or you can keep leveling and stuff. So the main quest gives you experience, and also running to new unique areas, you know, just like sailing to those islands and unlocking new things also gives you a lot more experience as well. When you level up, you can put your points in a lot of stats. These stats can give you better strength, better dexterity, better crit rates, and your weapons kind of scale off of it. If you hover over a weapon, you're going to be able to see this one scales off of strength, blah, 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 and then it does more damage. What I like to do at the moment is I like to put everything in HP and everything in stamina. And the game lets you rescale at any time, and I think this is probably going to stay throughout all the way early access, maybe even the main game, because it seems like a really good idea to do so you can keep experimenting with different builds. So put all your stats into whatever you want. After that, you can also get talent points. There's a circular skill tree, and I'm a little disappointed with the size of it, but at least there's multiple levels of the skills itself. So you can have like in the inner circle, the outer circle, and then the further outer circle of how you unlock stuff. There's like different nodes. So for example, some might say if you're fighting 2 or more enemies at once, you get a buff, that sort of thing. Or hey, you get a flat increase of damage, increase of like max stamina, and then if you want to put more points into that, level 2 and level 3 stamina, and then you get more like really interesting stuff like, oh, this one makes it so if you perfect parry, you get to reload your weapon a lot more faster, that sort of thing. So it's really, really cool and basic stuff. You're not going to feel like a god fighting at all. Maybe towards the late game, once you start like unlocking way more new sort of things it is, but that's pretty much the leveling. Another thing we need to talk about is the naval aspect of the game, because it's a big part of the pirate open world and the stuff. So I talked about all the basic crafting stuff, the survival stuff. It's really similar to Ark Survival, to Valheim. It's very similar. Now the naval stuff, you have your ship, and at the moment, maybe this might change later, you can't really customize your ship in fine detail. You craft your ship by, you know, getting 100 nails, 20 wood, blah, 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 blah. And there's like 3 different variants of different types of ships. And usually it's a balance ship, one that holds more cargo, one that is stronger, but it's a lot more weaker in the HP aspect, that sort of thing. And you can find different recipes in the world, different sort of schematics, purchase them for different factions. And doing so, it'll let you to build more with more abilities and stuff like that with more goods. So you can outfit your ship with different guns that you can upgrade, different cannons, board, like you get different armor, which is like your hull, so you can upgrade that just like you upgrade your weapons and armors on your person. And then you can upgrade your boarding party gear. So you get on your ship, and it kind of, you don't have to worry about the wind at all. You just press, you pretty much set it on different speeds, 1 2 3 4 or -1, and then you just start going. Now it is that sort of naval navigation where you turn the wheel and you kind of wait for it to slowly turn, and then you have to go back and forth. So it kind of has that like slow turn. So if you play a lot of naval sort of games, you're gonna be kind of used to that. So that's kind of cool. So you can shoot frontward with cannons, you can shoot left and shoot right. There's no cannons behind you, at least not on the ship I used. And then you fire, it has an arc, it shows you a preview, shoots cannons, you have different sorts of ammos, you have the basic gigantic cannonballs, and then you have the big ones that spin, and then you pretty much attack enemy ships. When you attack an enemy ship, you and them take HP. If yours goes down because, well, you just took too many hits, it's gonna sink and you have to pay to freaking get it back. But basically you want to get the enemy ship at a very, very low state, usually 25%, and then you're able to board the ship. You don't always want to board them, especially if you're in a group and you're fighting like 4 ships at once. Maybe you just want to sink them to get them out of the picture. But if you're able to board them, you jump on them. You have to disable the ship by getting them that low. You slowly go right next to them. You have to really maneuver your ship, slow down, press the boarding button. All of your guys jump on in. You jump on in, and it says, take out this many guys before you win the ship. Now, depending on like the level of the ship, 1 to 5, whatever, it might be like 4 enemies, 11 enemies. So you go on there, you take them out, and it's just a free-for-all, tons of enemies, blah, blah, blah. And it's you and just a group of nameless people. And this is one thing I wish was more in-depth. You don't really have a sort of way to customize the crew of your ship. Not really. You just have an infinite amount of people, and the enemy has an infinite amount of people, and it just depends how many things you kill before they say we give up. If you die, you just get sent back to wherever your spawn is, and you have to fly all the way. So you have to sail all the way out there, and then just pick up your stuff from the ground, and then you just keep going. So that is the sort of naval combat right now. It's just fighting them, cannoning away, maneuvering with the water stuff, jumping on the ship, boarding them if you want, then grabbing all the stuff. Now, there's a lot more mechanics in the game, but that is pretty much it. There's a lot of factions and towns that you can, once you destroy ships, you get goods that you can sell to smugglers, sell to townspeople. You get insignias, so you can increase your reputation with different factions. Increasing the reputation allows you to purchase more different things like those schematics, more decorations, more actual structure things you can buy, and a lot more cool things as well. You can get like new weapons and armors, new tactics you can put on your boat so you can have more ambush damage. Maybe you can actually heal during combat and it's not slowed down. So this game has a really good foundation and a lot of mechanics, but after a dozen or so hours, I do have to say things are starting to slow down. And I say slow down in a sense of like, yeah, it's okay grinding it out and stuff, slowly building up, getting new things, expanding your base, building all the workshops, upgrading the workshops. The building in this game is really good, but it's very monotonous in the sense of it is sort of the same things, and their enemy variety is not very high. On the top of my head, in the dozen or so hours I've played so far, there's like dodos, 2 different dodo birds, like 4 different type of boars, 3 different type of zombies, a couple different ships, and a lot of the same sailors. I'm pretty sure once you get to the other biomes, they're going to be a lot more different, but from what I've played so far and what I am playing, there's a ton of side missions, a lot. And that's really good because that's how you actually level up, and you get a lot of money and you get a lot of reputation points. So you have a huge incentive to do all that because you can't just grind out and do other stuff. You can try to rush the main mission, but you have to be super skillful. Otherwise, you're just going to die a lot. So you have to go through all the side stuff, which is really good, like I said. But it keeps letting you just do the same thing over and over again. The game, even though it's huge, gigantic, there is a really good quick travel system. I like pretty much you craft a bell, and then with that bell you can make a sort of bell structure on the beach. And once you have 2 in the world, you can keep traveling back and forth between them. Or even better, when you're on your ship, open up the map, go to one of your and just click on any of your teleports, you can go right over there. So at the moment, you can only have 10 in the world, and there's lots of different islands. So you kind of want to set them up where, hey, this is going to be my main base. I'll put like something here. This one, there's a ton of resources. There's a cave with copper ore. I want to put one here. And then luckily, at some of the unique areas like the big town, the smuggler's den that you find, the buccaneers, they have built-in teleports where you can just kind of go to them and, you know, do that sort of thing. So I think that's all I want to say about the game right now. I like it. It's huge. It's great to play in. Good sandbox. I just wish there was a little bit more customization with your crew members. Just a bunch of nameless guys on sea. They do have shanty music, which is a huge plus. So if you like that, you can turn that on or turn it off whenever you want. And you do have a lot of preview of things upcoming. Like, okay, you can have these sort of ships. Once you get the faction level to 4, you're gonna get this gigantic, huge ship that holds like 1 million items. It can hold way more guns. And you can, you know, sort of the exploration, the discovery aspect is really fun, where you find this unique island. It's covered in nothing but huge crabs, but then you find like a really cool gun at the end that's very unique. And then once you find the unique weapon, you can craft it yourself just in case you accidentally get rid of it. So so that's there. But once again, the crew member aspect, not a lot. You can hire some people to work at your base, but it's just like small bonuses and stuff like that. So yeah, the variety of enemies, I wish it was more. And I feel like there are some procedurally generated islands that you're going to be finding. And they say that on the Steam page. I kind of wish every single one was handcrafted, because the map is big, but it isn't that big, where I think they could have added all unique islands, because I feel like I go to a lot of them, especially the ones that they're not unique, and there's nothing on them. Same thing that you would find on a regular island, your home base. A bunch of dodos, trees, you're just running around doing nothing. So I really would have loved if it was just every island unique. It's just a one-to-one handcrafted map rather than, you know, that sort of stuff. I feel like they could have done that. But overall, it's good. I'm going to be stopping playing the game because this is one of those games where I hope in version 1.0, when it comes out in, I'm going to probably just say 2 years, that the beginning of the game all the way to the end of the game, it's going to be a lot more varied. It's going to be a lot more balanced, more variety, more stuff like that. So I'm here to say I recommend it. It's good. If you play single player, it's going to take you a long time to do stuff. But if you play multiplayer, I've seen people play with like up to 4 players. You can probably get a lot more done quicker because people can do different quests. You can all have the same base. You can keep running around. Some people can work on the base. Some people can go grab the resources. Some guys can go fight stuff to buff up your reputation. Someone can go do the main quest, and you can also help each other and have lots of boats and fighting. So this game really, 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 really is meant for multiplayer if you want to progress fast, right? But I'm playing solo just to see how it all works, and I'm very impressed with everything. It just needs more polish, more optimization, and hopefully this is the biggest thing: more enemy variety, more sort of smaller in mechanics like those crew thingies. Just needs a little bit more, but that's why I'm waiting. I like it so much that I want to replay it with a huge, gigantic, full experience when it's fully done. So I'm going to install it, but I'm going to recommend it for you guys. And I'm going to keep up with the updates. I want to see what they keep adding, and then we'll go from there. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about this game down below. Windrose. It was good. I'm glad I played it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.